Does the government work for us or do we work for the government? Can Congress suspend parts of the Constitution just as the Egyptian military has suspended the Egyptian Constitution? Tonight, freedom and the Patriot Act. Don't think totalitarianism can't happen here. It can and it has. On the same day in which President Obama formally proposed a budget that will require the government to borrow $1.6 trillion in the next 12 months, on top of the $2 trillion President Bush borrowed, and on top of the $4 trillion President Obama has already borrowed, on the same day that the Republican leadership of the House railed against the president's out-of-control borrowing and spending, on the same day that those same Republicans promised an open and candid debate on the budget with many public hearings and many amendments to be offered and considered, the same Republican leadership and their allies in the House forced through a little noted extension of a law that already exists and was about to expire. That would be the Patriot Act. Today, your House of Representatives voted to extend some of the most unconstitutional provisions with just 1 hour of debate, with no committee hearings. And even though in the Pelosi years the Republicans promised if they ever took charge of the House, this would never ever happen, with no opportunity to offer amendments. When the Patriot Act was passed in October 2001, members of the Republican-controlled House were given 15 minutes to read it. It's 230 pages long, and because much of it amends existing law, and those laws must be read along with a new law, it takes a good 20 hours to read from beginning to end. It basically tells federal agents that their version of safety trumps the framers' view of freedom, and they can evade the Constitution they have sworn to defend. It does that by permitting federal agents to write their own search warrants, even though the Constitution requires that the government can only search your records and your property with a warrant issued by a judge. And a judge can only issue a search warrant after looking at evidence of criminal behavior presented to the judge under oath. Bypassing a judge violates the Fourth Amendment. The Patriot Act also prohibits the recipient of a search warrant written by a federal agent from telling anyone about its receipt. That violates the First Amendment, which says that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. It presumes, the Patriot Act presumes, that by giving up freedom, we will be safer. But that presents the question, safer from whom? If a judge issues a search warrant or a grand jury issues a subpoena, you can haul the government into court and challenge them. If a federal agent authorizes himself to take whatever he wants from you and the government silences the person from whom your things were taken, there can be no challenge. You will have lost your property, your liberty, and your dignity. Here is what members of the Republican-controlled and Tea Party-inspired House of Representatives did. Once the Senate goes along with this, they permitted any federal agent, without any evidence of criminal behavior on your part, to take whatever records he or she wants from your lawyer, your doctor, your bank, your pharmacy, your telephone provider, your computer server, your local post office, from the supermarket where you shop, from the library where you borrow books, from the hospital where your children were born, even from your car dealer. Is this the life you want? Is this the government the framers gave us? Isn't this what the Tea Party was organized to prevent? We fought wars against government because they did all of these kinds of things to their people. Former Senator Russ Feingold said it best when he argued that, quote, "Of course there is no doubt that if we lived in a police state, it would be easier to catch terrorists. If we lived in a country that allowed the police to search your home at any time for any reason, if we lived in a country that allowed the government to open your mail, eavesdrop on your phone conversations, or intercept your email communications, if we lived in a country that allowed the government to hold people in jail indefinitely based on what they write or think, or based on mere suspicion that they're up to no good, then the government would no doubt discover and arrest more terrorists. But that would probably not be a country in which we would want to live. And that would not be a country for which we could, in good conscience, ask our young people to fight and die. In short, that would not be America." Tomorrow, Congressman Ron Paul and